Elder Scrolls Online, PTS 11.2.2. This is week 3. PCEU is now on the PTS instead of NA. Like there's some fixes for the Writhing Wall event. Combat and abilities. Crafted potions are now able to be utilized properly while using cast or channel time abilities. Abilities that follow your reticles, such as puncturing strikes or fate cover, now properly update their targeting if you cast them while stationary. Okay. Mythic sets. Huntsman's Warmask. Increase the duration of the mark from this set to 60 seconds, up from 20. Increase the damage done to the marked target to 20%, up from 8. While increasing the penalty to damage done to unmarked targets to 50%, from 4%. This set now also triggers off dealing damage with a bash in addition to fully charged heavy attacks. Zos has fixed this mythic. I'm so proud. I'm so proud. We're significantly upping the damage bonus and the penalty of the set to help carve out more of a niche based on feedback where week 1 numbers were far too safe and didn't offer enough value in most contexts. Now the set should be a strong contender for single target encounters or prioritizing lethal threats at the expense of cleave and area damage. This is great. We have a new best in slot mythic for single target encounters. We got Velothi for AoE. We have Huntsman's Warmask for single target. And I think it's going to be an interesting play. So for those that don't know how this works, Huntsman's... So this is the old version here. Dealing damage with a fully charged heavy attack places the mark of Hersine on your target for 20 seconds. While active, you deal 8% more damage to the target and 4% less damage to all other enemies. Can occur once every 10 seconds. So these numbers were way too small before. So now they fixed so many areas of this mythic. So first off, it's dealing damage with a fully charged heavy attack or a bash. So you don't have to do fully charged heavies, although they upped it to 60 seconds. So one fully charged heavy attack every 60 seconds anyway is not that big a deal. This would be more crucial for, and I wish they would do this on more sets that have lower timers, because for light attack builds, you want a heavy attack as little as possible. But for a 60-second duration, it's not really that big of a deal. But still, I'm glad it's there. I'm glad the option's there. So you can now fully charge heavy attack, or you can bash to place this mark. And now it deals 20% more damage to the target and 50% less to other enemies. So they've made this one really interesting because, okay, so if a fight is purely single target, there's like no other adds. Well, obviously, this is kind of a no-brainer. You get a 20% damage boost compared to like Velothi. You know, Velothi gives you 15% damage done, but you lose your light and heavy attack damage. Velothi also gives you some pin and minor force though, so Velothi's still insanely good. This isn't like pushing Velothi out or anything anywhere close to that. Velothi absolutely has its uses, but now for pure single target, this is a 20% damage done, so 5%, and you keep your light and heavy attack damage. So definitely going to be better than Velothi for pure single target, assuming like you have your build, like you have your penetration, you don't need minor force, that kind of stuff. So you do have to have more of your check boxes checked, you know, with this mythic than you do with Velothi. but it's going to be really good for single target damage. One thing I think will be interesting is it's going to create this dynamic too. Think of a boss like Talaria. It's really a single target fight, but there are priority adds that need to die, like the sirens and the bulwarks that come out. So, you know, I think some groups will probably be able to manage that fine with the 50% less damage to all other enemies. But for some, that might be bait, right? Like, if you lose all that cleave damage, that might be too much for some groups. So you might end up with some scenarios where it's like, okay, you know, for Oaks in Rock Grove, like some people wear this and just purely focus the main boss, but then like you have a few people still in Velothi to make sure that you're getting enough cleave to take down the side bosses. I don't know. That's like my initial thoughts of how this might play out, because I think even fights that have priority adds, you're probably going to want to squeeze this on some of your DPS up to the point where you can still get the side adds down, I guess, in like an optimal scenario. And the best groups, maybe they can just still throw this on everybody for a lot of these fights, and they'll still have enough cleave to get the adds down. I don't know. But I do think that it introduces this new dynamic, this new kind of thing that to coordinate around. This is what Mythics should do, right? So yeah, it's good job, Zos, for real. Good job. You guys made this a mythic that people need to pick up right away. It's gonna be, I mean, all the parses on the dummy now, pretty much all of them I think will be using this. Any single target heavy fight, this is going to be the go-to Velothi for the AoE stuff. Hey, thank God. This was so bad before. I don't know, for PvP too, like, is this like a Ganker's Paradise set? 20% extra damage on a heavy attack? They might need to look into something with that, but yeah, good job. Good job, Zos. This is really, really the right direction with mythics in general. I would love to see this now gone back and take the kilt. Take like so many of these other mythics that don't really have a place right now and do this same thing to them. Give them a place. Like, I'd love it if the kilt was like some kind of execute specialized mythic. Maybe over the like course of a long fight, like from start to finish, maybe it's not as much average damage as this, but the execute is like way juiced up to help groups better get through the last phase of a fight. Stuff like that, you know, figuring out like some kind of niche that it can be really good in this, but maybe, you know, overall it's not as powerful for just like any kind of encounter. Because right now the kilt just doesn't have a place in ESO for a damage dealer. It's just outclassed by monster sets, by Velothi, and now by this. So there's not really a place for the kilt. So they're on the right track. I hope. We were talking about this earlier, but I do hope this is a sign of things to come. But, well, we'll see about that. All right, so after that, fixes and improvements to... Oh, these are just some achievements. This looks like just a bunch of bug fixes with the zone and housing and furnishings. Okay. So not Not much here in week 3. But really good adjustment to the smithing. So good job, Zos. Good job.